All right. Are we ready to open up the doors?
Yeah.
Okay. Xavier, you can begin greeting as soon as the people enter.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Wake up, everybody. I see Kaisha, Jennifer.
Good
Marie.
morning.
Good morning.
Peace and blessing, brother
morning to the Facebook
Xavier.
group.
Glad to see you.
Good morning, Xavier.
Teresa, good morning.
Morning, family.
Virginia.
How y'all
Morning.
doing?
Good morning.
Those who are coming in on Facebook, good morning. Good morning. Jacqueline, I see you. Good morning. Denise, good morning.
Morning.
Those who are still coming in on Facebook, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Sunday. It's the first Sunday of October. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Grand Rising. Thank you, Denise. As you all come in, whether you're on Facebook or those on Zoom, if you could just drop some happy belated birthday notes for our beloved Shawnee. If you could drop some happy belated birthday notes to our beloved Shawnee. And if you weren't there for the party Friday, we definitely missed a good time. There was some turn-ups and a lot of positive celebration. So happy belated to Shawnee, and good morning again for those coming in. Chantel, good morning.
Good morning.
Those coming in on Facebook, good morning. Good morning.
Wake up, everybody. It's time to get up. Wake up, everybody. It's time to get up. Stay woke. Stay woke. Stay woke. It's time to get up. Stay woke. Stay woke. Stay woke, it's time to get up. We're healing, we're dealing, we're growing. Together, releasing. We're teaching, we're moving. Together, we're learning, discerning. We're striving, together, we're leading, connecting, transforming, together.
Good morning. Good morning. That alarm clock is what woke us all up this morning. Or woke me up this morning. I do thank God for waking me up this morning and bringing me here to this space. Again, good morning to those on Facebook, and good morning to those in our Zoom space. I'm looking at the chat. I'm not seeing some happy birthdays, so let's type some happy birthdays, happy belated birthdays to Shawnee in the chat if we could. And while we do that, while you do that, I would like to share something that I wrote for Shawnee, and I would feel very remiss not honoring the mother of Wu in this space. So I'm going to just share this really quickly before we get into the presentation. Oh, Kenyafu said happy birthday month. I hear you. All right, so here is what I wrote for Shawnee. And before I deliver it, I just want to give you a little bit of context. So the first, so each line of the poem represents the letter in her name. So the first line for S is only using words that begin with S. You'll notice that there are some rules being broken because Shawnee has a tendency to, from what I know, push the limits a little bit, push the boundaries and break the rules. So I'll just go ahead and get started. The title is Shawnee, S-H-A-W-N-E-E. S, sensationally sophisticated. She shines. Sassy, sensitive, strong, simply sublime. H, heaven, holding her hostage, hoping hopeless hearts heed her healing howls. Astoundingly assured as an advocate, advancing ascribed action. Woes, willingly willow while we wait. Waiting, waiting, wait. We witness winning during a pandemic. Nostalgic, nifty, knowing no limits. Excellence, exemplified. Effort, everywhere. Every day, every day, every day should be your birthday. Happy birthday, Shawnee. Well, happy belated now. So thank you all for indulging with me on that. Again, I would feel so remiss if I did not share that on this day. So without further ado, so thank you all for the notes in the chat as well. Without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump right in. If you could pull up the PowerPoint and we'll go ahead and get started. All right, so the topic that we are covering today is mother to son, and specifically is dealing with mending wounded relationships. I myself have many relationships that need to be wounded. I'm sorry, wounded relationships that need to be healed. And I'm sure that we all have those relationships that need to be wounded, need to be healed. So there's not a conversation specifically and strictly only for mothers to their sons. As you notice, as we go through the conversation and dialogue, many of the conversations that we'll have may not be directly from a mother to a son. And so I wanted to ground everything that we do, and that this conversation, this dialogue, this experience is about mending those wounded relationships. You can go next. I would call this section this slide house rules, but I really want to drive this home that this will be impactful if and only if we adhere to these four things. Number one, it will be impactful if and only if we're able to restore our internal integrity and vulnerability. What does that mean? For me, there are some things that I need to restore, some integrity that needs to be restored through the relationships that I need to mend. And there's a certain level of vulnerability that I need to have in delivering this and engaging with you all, with this conversation that is not talked about as often. So before I go to the next one, what I want you to do in the chat, whether you're on Facebook or whether you are on Zoom, is just type a word in the chat that describes how you are feeling going into this conversation. Whatever word comes to mind, I'll be the first. My first word is nervous. My second word is ecstatic. Don't spell check it. The second thing that you need to that we should do in order to make this an impactful session is to lean into the discomfort of engaging with challenging experiences. When this conversation first came about, it was during a previous session that I was hosting, and I could feel the weight of broken relationships between a mother and their child, or a father and their child, or a person and someone in their family. And so this conversation will get into the nitty-gritty of the challenges that we face daily, and it's going to take us leaning in to those uncomfortable truths. And unlike previous times, we don't have 30 minutes. This is a full 90-minute session. So my hope is that the commitment that I share, you share too, and that we will be open, we'll be vulnerable, and we'll do the third thing, which is releasing the self-deprecating mindsets and walking your truth. Self-deprecating mindsets refer to the negative thoughts and things that we tell ourselves to prevent us from getting a breakthrough. In reading the chat, here are some feelings that I'm seeing. We have intrigued, excited, interested, vulnerable. Amen. Somebody's already feeling vulnerable. Oh, not okay. That's nice. You're feeling vulnerable. Open, hesitant, vulnerable and hesitant. Ready and hesitant, numb, and curious. Jennifer, I didn't intend to do this early, but would you mind coming off me to share a little bit more about the word numb? That word just really stuck me. When you say you're feeling numb, you mind coming off mute to talk a little bit about that feeling?
It just means that there's like no feeling.
So you're feeling very still. Do you feel separated from the issue, or do you feel like this is something that the conflict is what makes or is what causing a separation?
Maybe I think it's from like a trauma response, and it's been like numb for like quite some time. So I'm just, yeah.
Thank you for bringing that word into this space of trauma. That is something that we will talk about today, which is where my nervousness come from, and just I think that's probably why that word stuck out, because there's some numbness in myself as well, from the trauma that has led me to be the person that I am, for better or for worse. So thank you for bringing that word into this space. And my hope is that the things that are instigating this numbness in you will slowly dissipate, and you're able to talk a little bit more and share a little bit more, and be coached by the community through this feeling that you're experiencing. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
I see Hopeful, and I see Teresa, tired of the bullshit and needs help. Happy birthday, beautiful. Oh, that was the Shawnee. All right, so thank you for that. So just to repeat, the third thing that will make this session impactful for you is releasing those self-deprecating mindsets and walking in your truth. So just like Jennifer was saying, there are traumas related to everything that happens to us, and there's trauma related to how we show up to the people that we care about, and how we show up when we are going through our own things. Some of us, like myself, much of to the dismay of others, we may check out when certain things are happening in our lives, and understanding how that impacts others around you is important. The final thing, the fourth thing, this session will be impactful if and only if you understand why you're here, and or know who you are doing this for. So what I want us to do is I want us to take a moment to think about one or two people in mind that you know the relationship right now, Sunday at 6:14 in Texas and 7:15 Eastern time. Right now, two people that I want you to have in mind that you know the relationship is in need of some time, affection, patience, and love. And when you have those two people, if you are bold enough, I wish you would type those names in the Facebook chat and in the Zoom space, because these are what will help hold you accountable as we go through this session. So I'll say that one more time. One or two people, I want you to have one or two people in mind that you are doing this for, relationships that you have in mind that you know need to be mended, that you know need healing. And if you're bold enough, I want you to type that in the chat. while we're getting some responses in. While we're getting some responses in, I have a question that I would like to pose, and I'm looking for 3 people to share a response to this question. Why do you feel like you're here in need of support in mending relationships? We've already heard from Jennifer sharing a very powerful word, one that's true to me as well, which is trauma. But I want 3 people who are bold enough to come off and share why they're here in this space today in need or in support of healing certain relationships. I see Teresa, her, that is simple, but it's powerful, in asking for someone to list a name of someone that needs healing of a relationship. She listed herself, I believe. And I'll say on that, there are some things with myself that I am in need of some healing and mending of relationships as well. I'm just looking for 3 people. Why are you here today for support in your relationships? Thank you, Naja.
So Xavier, while people are collecting their names, because no one has dropped any names of people that they need support for in mending relationships,
Okay.
I'd say go ahead and drop 2 names, but I want to, based on the responses of your question earlier about how we as a community are feeling about this conversation. There were some responses that I'd like to call on those people, if you're okay with that.
Yes.
And perhaps they are willing to share. So Laura Clark said open. So Laura, if you're willing to share, maybe you have 1 or 2 people for whom you need or you want to mend a relationship and you're open to it using your own word. Perhaps there's a person and you can drop that name in the chat. Jacqueline, thank you very much. She dropped names in the chat. Also, let me scroll back up. Kaisha, you said interested. So perhaps there's someone whom you are interested in mending a relationship with. If you can share that person, and maybe the person's name, you don't want to share their name, but if you share the relationship, perhaps we can work with that. Maybe it's your father or your brother or son for whom you're interested in mending a relationship. And then the third person is Denise. Denise, you said ready and hesitant, which to me are 2 opposites or are opposites. So Denise, if you could share in the chat the name of the person or persons for whom you are ready but hesitant to mend a relationship with. Thank you, Laura. I'm not Laura, Laura. Xavier, would you like to ask someone to come off of mute and share? Yes. Okay.
Yes. So there's 2 people. One, the one that you said who commented that their word was interesting, and then I wanted to also hear from Jacqueline and Laura specifically.
Okay. So Kaisha, are you willing to come off of mute and share in the space? Speak what you put in the chat.
Good morning, everyone. So I said I was interested in this topic just to listen. I was just interested in how it was going to go. I was on Xavier's last session, and I was, and I felt that his shares and stories were compelling at that time. So, I was really just interested and just here to listen, to to his shares and what he was gonna bring forth. And then, but I see the direction that he's going now is to include us this time, is to include the community. So then as far as mended relationships, I lost a best friend earlier this year. The friendship, she didn't pass away, the friendship. I lost the friendship earlier this year over, I guess, miscommunication. And I recently tried to reach out and she declined my call. I don't like the text. So I recently tried to call and she declined my call. And then the other relationships was, I think I put my ex-husband, my father, and my daughter, and these are of course different relationships. My ex-husband, I just wish we had a better relationship. And then just as a co-parenting level, we don't need to be friends, but just on a co-parenting 10 level. And then my father, I guess I just wanted to bring it up on how last weekend my father and I discussed how we mended our relationship 20 years ago. However, there's been some rumors in the family that states that I'm still bitter. And it's so interesting that you brought this up, Xavier, about mended relationships. And he wanted to just explain to me that he doesn't listen to a lot of rumors or he said, she said. My father's in jail. And it was he didn't want to spend it was the 30-minute call. And he just wanted to really stress to me that he does not listen to, he said, she said, we do have a good relationship. He's satisfied with our relationship now as it is. And that he just really has to focus on his case and his living situation. So that was just really interesting about mended relationships, because we did mend back when I was, I believe, 28, 25, and we mended at that time. And then my daughter, I don't want to lose that relationship, and I just feel that's where I'm taking steps to not be too pushy or overbearing, but there's some things that took place in the last month that made me question, where do I stand in her life? So those are the relationships that are in question right now. But my best friend, I don't think will be mended. It's just something that's been on my heart for a while. So thank you for listening.
And as you got off, it sounded like you felt like you said a lot, or like you were, just talking. And I know that when I hear it, because I do the same thing. And I feel like that comes from a place where we don't share or talk about these things that really hurt us enough. And so I want you to know that I heard everything that you said, and that I appreciate the level of vulnerability and openness that you just showed, because you didn't just talk about one relationship. You could have stopped there talking about your friend, but you wanted to make sure that you included the specifics on how your relationships have been navigated with your ex-husband, with your daughter, with even family secrets that we all know that there's family secrets that as we get older, they just happen to come out, or rumors and those things. So first, thank you for sharing that. I do have a question for you. I have a series of questions. My first question for you is, what made you be the one to call your best friend? What made you actually pick up the phone and call?
I seen something on Facebook about another Facebook friend lost a friend through death, and I seen the tribute that she gave her friend, and she was like, "Till death do us part," and that's how I felt with Dency. What we had a disagreement over is not small, but I miss her, and I reached out at that moment, like no even thought. At that moment, I went to my phone and I pressed call, and she declined it, and I chuckled, and I said, "Man, I wish I could have that muscle, that strong muscle to decline people I don't want to talk to, but I don't, I just chuckled at it and threw my phone down and just went about my business. But yeah, it was confusing. It was confusing.
And I want to push you on something that you said. You said you wish you had that muscle where you could decline a call from people that you don't want to talk to. I want to push you on this in hopes that it may unveil something deeper. What if on the other side of that is, I want to have the strength, or sorry, I want someone that will fight to get my attention, that will fight for what value they feel like I have, or that they will show a consistent, persistent interest in something. And so that leads me to sorry, can't get my words. That leads me to this question. After you felt declined in that moment, did you leave a voicemail or send a text message, like a follow-up, or was it just ended there?
It ended there. I didn't leave a voicemail. No, it was just like, okay, well, she's done. So there's nothing left to say.
So when you initially reached out to your friend, to your best friend, or to your former friend, was it just that instinctively seeing this on Facebook and wanting to reach out, or was there more to it? I mean, I asked that because I really want to get to understand why you didn't want to send a text message, or why you didn't send a voicemail.
Just knowing where she's at in life, just knowing how she deals with people in her relationship. And if you know that saying, if ain't nobody for me, you know.
Yeah, that's what we tell ourselves sometimes. Yeah. And
just probably her not wanting to go down memory lane with me, or revisit our relationship. She reached out, she said some words that hurt me.
Yeah.
That hurt me 8 months ago. And she reached out in March to let me know, but she put herself in therapy. And I just said to her, God bless you.
Yeah.
I just said, well, that's great. We've been praying for that, our entire relationship, and God bless you. I'm sure she felt slighted by that. And I wasn't being sarcastic. I just was not ready with her. But go back to but you're right. I do feel like I'm the one always the one reaching out. And I mean, she reached out, but yeah, it was
I'm glad those words came out of your mouth, because my next question was talking about triggers and trauma. And I'm wondering if there was a reason that after she declined, or after she, didn't text back, obviously didn't call back, is there something in your life from a trauma or trigger perspective that caused you to just say, you know what, fuck it, or just forget about it. I don't want to deal with this anymore. You don't want to deal with me. I don't want to deal with you. Because if it were a parent, or if it was someone closer, my next question would be, would you feel more inclined to send that text message saying, hey, I was just calling, I saw on Facebook that this happened. Does that make sense?
Yes. And the reason why I didn't move forward, because I just have to stop chasing people. Yeah. I really have to stop chasing people. I declined. This ain't the first time. When we had the argument over text, I don't fight over text. So I tried to call her, and she declined my call and then sent me a nasty text.
Yeah.
And so words hurt.
So it sounded like in you being declined, you found your strength. Like, you found a new strength, even though it sounded like you were a bit envious of the strength that she had to decline. You actually had the strength to not be the one to follow up again and say, you know what, this is where it ends. So there actually is some good in that for you.
Yes. Yes.
And the other thing I wanted to ask you about before we can continue this conversation is, you were talking about your relationships with your daughter, your father, and your ex-husband. My question for you is, how has trauma in any trauma or triggers in your life impacted all three of those relationships? Like, although they're very different, I believe in relationships, they're from our perspective, there's a consistent something that just causes certain triggers. So what is that for you? Have you identified that yet?
How much time do you have, Xavier?
This is your time right now.
Yeah, yes, the trauma of pleasing, the trauma of wanting to be included, the trauma of friendship, just the or triggers, the of course our triggers as adults come from our childhood.
Yep.
So my dad just not wanting the drama, like when I chose to forgive him, just no longer wanting the drama any longer. Unforgiveness hurts in the heart. Stress, it literally hurts. And so back then, and so he and I have cultivated a relationship that we don't speak about to others in the family, because it's ours. And when quick so anyways, when the rumor started, now when I'm 41, I'm like, come on, I'm done. Like I'm over. So no, my father wasn't there consistently. Yes, at 16, he was put in jail at my age of 16. So but and then he had his own traumas then, dealing with that. So at the age of early 20s, we had a conversation. I'm good. I can't hold on to the loss of my dad going forward.
Absolutely.
It's less.
Jacqueline just brought in the word that I was going to ask you about. You were talking about the trauma of pleasing and feeling included. And what I heard and what it sounded, and the word that I saw as well, that Jacqueline said was abandonment. And you talked about how I think you said you were 16 when your father
Yes.
went to jail. Yeah. So that's something that I struggle with because I recently met my father a few years ago, and so the struggles for me dealing with a certain kind of abandonment, it's almost like not dealing with abandonment, but dealing with the absence of, right? So I am a product of what I didn't get from my father.
Yes.
And so when Jacqueline said the word abandonment, I had to ask you, do you feel like that there's some residuals of abandonment in your life that impacts all three of those relationships?
Oh yeah, the abandonment. Yes, the abandonment. But however, I just move forward, and try to. Yes, but yes, the abandonment as a child. Ex-husband. Yeah, I'm still dealing with that. Subconsciously, probably abandonment. We still connect, so he's not all the way legally. He hasn't abandoned me legally.
Yeah.
But emotionally and physically, that abandonment. However, it's like this is the card that I'm dealt with, so let's move forward from it. Then my daughter, I'm trying not to abandon her.
What would that look like if you did? Yeah.
Not listening to her when she tells me a challenge that she's facing. Not having time. Like, oh, okay, I gotta go. I'll call you later. Not calling her later. Just her feeling like, Mom, I need you, and you're not there for me. I remember just recently we were vibing on the phone, and I was done. No issues. I was just done with the conversation. I was like, all right, I gotta go. And she's like, you gotta go. I'm like, we said a lot, like, yeah, we've covered a lot. Nothing heavy. We were just talking, just vibing. And so I was like, okay, but she was having a good time. I felt that. And she's 20, and she was having a good time. So she probably felt abandoned at that moment.
So in talking about what abandoning her looks like, you also said and discovered like what love and not abandoning feels like and looks like. And so I just appreciate two things. One, when you described how you would abandon her, you didn't say, I'm going to leave her out of my life, because that's the nature of abandonment. But you spoke to something so much deeper. Not listening to someone can certainly cause a feeling of abandonment. And so I want to highlight that because that was the first thing you went to. It wasn't anything like I'm going to drop you off and leave you at a washateria. Sorry, I got left at a washateria, but it was because I was playing the game in the and yeah, that's a whole different story. I have abandonment issues, but I caused them. They
check for you.
Yeah.
They left.
She came, my mom. She came back. She actually may be on today, and if she does, I'm going to I'm gonna lose a few screws because we were talking last night, and I was telling her about the impact of that Woods had on me in the conversation today. So thank you for bringing all this out so early.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you for your time.
Absolutely. So if you all could share some positive words of encouragement to Kaisha for jumping on and integrating herself into this space and being such a foundational piece of the conversation that we're going to have. So much of what we talked about are already in the PowerPoint that we'll be looking at soon. So seriously, I just want to say thank you, Kaisha, for that and for the engagement in the chat. Catherine, I noticed you said, what would that look like? I love that question. The reason why I want to highlight that is because I loved that question when it was presented to me when I started counseling. You know, I never thought of a response to a question like that. Like if you say, "I love you," and the other person said, "What does that look like?" You're kind of like, "I don't know. I just love you. I just feel it. Like my heart pumps when I see you. I don't know. Like I love you." Or in education, going into leadership, that was a question I always enjoyed asking. I enjoyed asking my teachers was, what does that look like? What does success look like in your classroom, right? So if you say, or if you have a friend or a spouse, and you're asking about how did your day go? Oh, it was good. What does a good day look like, right? How do you measure a good day? Because if you can know what it looks like, then you can pretty much unpack what it doesn't look like. So I just wanted to highlight Catherine's intuitive nature and just picking up on that question, because when it was said to me, it definitely triggered some things. Now there were two more people that I wanted to hear from, but could you pull up the PowerPoint real quick just so I can share something real quick?
Sure, give me a moment.
And while we're doing that, I'll just read some of the comments, some of the words of encouragement to Kaisha. Teresa says, "Thank you, beautiful Kaisha and Xavier. Abandonment is so much a part of my life." And Teresa, I can say this now with having no intention of saying this, but I actually had to deal with this recently. I'm with you, and you didn't even know that this was going to come out, but there's a certain affinity and resemblance and reminder of my grandmother when I see you, when I hear you speak, when I see your energy, when you get on, when you talk, when you share. And I had to realize and deal with how scary that is and that was for me, given the way that I lost my grandmother, given that right after it happened, I moved away to, first generation college student, moved thousands of miles away and didn't really have time to deal with it until I moved back home. And so I don't want to understate the impact, Teresa, that you've had on my life in ways that you probably wouldn't even know. I definitely didn't expect this, but you saying that is calling me out to where I need to restore integrity in certain spaces, and you are certainly one. So thank you for that. Chantel also said, "Thank you, Kaisha, for your beautiful share. Bonnet and all, get this work by any means necessary." Shout out to the bonnets, man. Like I don't know what's the stigma behind bonnets. I mean, certain conversations I probably should just stay away from. That may be one of them. I'm not a big, like, I mean, I grew up and was raised by women pretty much. So I mean, bonnets and all the things that women seem to be sort of like kind of scared to show is normal to me. It's natural to me. There's something very loving and genuine to me about just that sort of openness, and sincerity. I'm huge on the naturalness of of a woman, the authenticity of a woman. There's something about it that can't really be replaced. So Captain said, leave it alone, beloved. I'm gonna leave it alone. Catherine must have on a bonnet right now because she want me to leave it alone. I'm gonna leave it alone. Oh, Chantel got a bonnet. Okay, I'm gonna be quiet. I see a Mother Teresa come on. I'm going to make this connection real quick, and then we'll jump back into our conversation. So again, going back to what just came out of Kaisha's conversation and what I'm seeing in the chat, I want to go through some of what I have on the slide, just so we can dive right back into the conversation. All right, so in talking to Kaisha and in talking to those that I will talk to today, and even if you're reflecting on the conversation that you just heard, we know that there are barriers to mending relationships. I break them down into two spaces, two categories. There's the barriers of self, and there's the barriers of other people. And so I'm going to talk about the barriers of self first, and then the barriers of others. The first barrier of self is time. Time can be something that hinders you from mending a relationship. I've lost multiple people that's very close to me this past year. Some that were unexpected. One that actually was supposed to stay with me for a while. And others where I was just left with thoughts of what I could have said or should have said. So time is not always on our side. And I think that was one of the things that Kaisha realized when she saw her friend post that, is that time is not on our side. And that you wouldn't want to leave this earth, leave this world with the residuals of pain of something that you didn't communicate. So that time is a barrier. It also goes into the second part. And nearly every single one of my students that I've ever taught, any teacher that I've ever worked with, any student I've ever coached from here to Merida, Mexico, they've always heard me say this. There's two things in your life that you will always be able to control. And I've said this on Will Before too. Your attitude and your effort. I don't care what happens to you or what doesn't happen. You will always, 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 always be in control of your attitude, which is how you respond to what happens to you, and your effort, which is your willful desire towards something. So like Kaisha did, she had control over her effort. She made the phone call. She had control over her attitude. She decided to put whatever she needed to the side to make that phone call. And then the third thing, self-forgiveness. By far one of the hardest, most difficult things, I'll say for me, and I would venture for many of us. Self-forgiveness. So I will pause there, and I want to bring in, sorry, who was it? Oh, and I want to bring in Mother Teresa to chime in. Wait, that's not a bonnet, is it? Is that a bonnet?
No, it's a scarf.
Okay, it's a scarf.
Same thing as a bonnet as far as I'm concerned.
Well, it is good to see you, and thank you for engaging in this conversation. Talk to us.
Kaisha conversation just brought up a lot of stuff that I really didn't look at, and I just want to thank both of y'all, and even her being so brave to talk about it. But a lot of my stuff a lot of my feelings have to do with abandonment and how I respond to people. Because what happens with me is that a person will show up like an explosion in my life, and then they'll back up. And so that kind of bothers me, because it was like, why would you show up, like you want to be here, and then you just shut down after a while. So that just, that kind of bothers me. And I was dealing with a intimate relationship like that, where, and it's like I said I actually said to the person today, I was like, it's like, there's a time, like, I feel like you don't want to let go of the relationship, but you don't want to give me what I want in the relationship. So I'm just tired of it. And so um, when y'all was talking about abandonment, I know it comes from childhood, feeling that with my dad and stuff. And I noticed that it's a lot to do with a lot. Well, recently I had a good friend that her and I have been talking, and we just needed to separate. And but I do miss that relationship. And so sometimes, like when you're not used to, well, I've been going through the thing of not, what's that thing when you like, where you're not used to being with yourself all the time. So I
You're
have to
not used
be
to being
by
with
myself.
yourself?
Huh?
You said where you're not used to being with yourself?
Right. Yeah. Like it's like I'm learning to be with myself more and more. And sometimes being with
Okay.
myself is uncomfortable because, I miss being around, people. And even some of my family members, it's like I just feel like I love my family, but I just feel like sometimes some of them are just so negative and I miss, the good times that we had with them. And so coming to the realistic that I don't have that, that's challenging. It's like I want them there, but just sometimes interacting with them and even trying to be like in a nice, like, like being a nice spiritual person with them, they'd be like, oh, I don't want to hear that. You're always trying to want peace. And I was like, because ain't you tired of the confusion? So
Yeah.
it's like you're getting attacked even when you're trying to be at peace with, trying to, like mend the relationship. But
How
I
did,
don't know. Just,
mind if I ask you a quick question?
yes.
So how did, first, thank you again for sharing such personal details about what's been challenging you, especially talking about your family concerns and things that happened with your father and not knowing where the abandonment comes from. It's not something that's easy to talk about. I know for me, it took a very long time did start when I did start seeking or when I got put into counseling. Um, I didn't talk for a very long time. I didn't talk for a very long time. And one of the main things that came up, it was certain residuals of abandonment that I didn't know nothing about, but it dealt with a father that I never really knew or understood. It dealt with the residuals of things that I didn't have. And so my question for you is, you knowing that your abandonment stems in part from your experience and relationship with your father, my question is, how do you deal with it differently now as opposed to how you dealt with it then or as a
Well,
child?
what I realized is that even though like he was there, like to a point, like he was there some, but I what I've been doing, even like with him and my mother both, sometimes I felt both ways, but I realized that they didn't have the tools to know how to give me what I wanted because, they were dealing with abandonment their own selves. And so in being in Wake Up and being in Be the Tree, it helped me, to forgive them. Sometimes I do get upset. My mother's gone now, so it's like there's no conversation with her. I mean, there's times when I try to talk with her. I do talk with her and say, Mama, it's like, not to deal with. But with my dad, sometimes I get like kind of aggravated with him because I just feel like, he doesn't sometimes I feel like he doesn't hear what I'm saying, and I just try to, just say, that's who he is. He's actually said to me, well, I'm not changing, and and that's it. And I was like, and I said, well, you know what? You might be by yourself sometime because, your behavior is not, going to be, continue to be tolerated. I love him very much. And since he's my only parent, I think I deal with some things because I don't want to be without another parent. And I'm complete.
Thank you for that. Um, Sometimes when you speak again, like because of the resemblance and the feelings and things like that, it just invokes a very different emotion for me. So, um, excuse me if I just have to take a minute. Sometimes when we're talking, that's just the truth, and I'm walking in it.
I feel the same way because I look like my mother more than ever. And so sometimes I'd be like, damn, you look like your mother. So it kind of makes me nervous to understand that feeling.
I, I
Because
wanted to ask you.
everybody says that to me. They were like, you look like your mother. And I'd be like, oh gosh. I said, I know. I had an aunt recently I spoke to. She was like, she was so scared when I got on the phone. She was like, who the hell? Like, who are you? She was screaming at me because she thought I was my mother talking to her. And I had to tell her auntie, I'm Teresa. I'm not, I'm Teresa. And so when I said, she said, "Oh, thank you."
When you were talking about your mother, and that led into what my next question was going to be, which was actually a question that was in the in the description. So I'm going to type it in the or copy and paste it in the chat, and I'm also going to read it. And after I read it, I want you to respond, but I also want those in the community that are in the chat to share their responses as well. So I am pasting this now, and I'm going to read it aloud. The question is, and again, this was in the description, do you wear your heart? Oh, do you wear your, so when I wrote this, the word heart was crossed out because typically people say, do you wear your heart on your sleeve? So I crossed out the word heart. It doesn't show in here, but I crossed out the word heart and inserted mother. So the question is, do you wear your mother on your sleeve? That's what I want to ask you. Do you wear your mother on your sleeve? And then the extended part of that is, how do your children, colleagues, and or spouse experience your mother through you? What triggers your inner mother, and how does it impact the relationship with your kids? So again, you don't have to answer all parts of that. My main question for you was, how do you wear your mother on your sleeve? Because it sounds like you was feeling a lot of that.
Because I am more like my mother. Like I used to say, I didn't want to be like my mother, and I'm more her than ever. And what I remember, we had a section, they said, "What do you want to be called?" I said, I wanted to be called Mama Teresa. And so I've embraced, who I am as a mother to people. And that was really hard because I was like, I don't want to be that, but once I started embracing it, then, I felt a lot more comfortable in that position. So I do wear my mother on my heart very much. And I'm getting used to it. But at first I was like, hell no, I don't want that. But now that I'm embracing it, I find that the relationships that I am in tune with are really growing and progressing.
Thank you. I too wear my mom on my sleeve at different times, regardless of how the relationship is in terms of whether we're together or apart, thousands of miles away or in the same city. She definitely comes out, and whether we acknowledge it or not, our mother definitely comes out in very different ways. I know some of us, I know people personally, they don't have the relationship with their mother that they want to have. Their mothers may not physically be here, and they're forced to communicate and connect with them in ways that we aren't able to. And so I just think it's very important for us to think about and consider how deeply to think deeply about our relationships with our mother and how it portrays in our daily life. So thank you, Mother Teresa, for coming on and sharing that.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm going to read it.
So Xavier, we have some comments in the chat. We also have a hand raised. I believe this is Sweetness with her hand raised, and it is about to be 7:55. So you can take this opportunity to thank those who may be rolling off. I'll drop your information in the chat, and then you can let me know which direction you'd like to go in.
So thank you to those. Sorry, thank you everyone for coming out. We are not finished. We still have plenty of work to do. But if you do need to step away, please feel free to do so. So I'm sorry, Najee, did I miss something I was reading? I got really into these comments. Did I miss anything? I mean, preferably, I would want everyone to stay, but understanding that we all have obligations. If you do need to step away, please feel free to do so at this time. And then now we're going to continue. So, Catherine, I see that you're on.
You calling on me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, peace and blessings. How you doing?
I will not complain.
Oh, it's good to see you. So no, I don't wear my mother on my sleeve, or any other part of my garments. My son, though, I got onto the core because you guys said you was talking about sons and mothers relationship, right? So that's
Something
what I
like
got.
that.
That's why I got on the call.
Okay.
I have 2 grown sons, and they're both independent. However, the relationship with them is what I'm working on. And what I want to share with the families that for me, what I found very helpful was to keep the focus on myself, just to go inside, to see what's inside. And then I kept showing up at the, with Woo and finding out those questions I need to ask myself, you know. And for me, one of the questions is, what do I want out of that relationship? First, I found out I needed to be detached from what society told me the relationship should be, what it
Which is
should
what?
look like. And then my mom, she was raised how she was raised, and then she want to raise me the way she raised me, which made me have a view of what that relationship should look like. I had a brother. He passed away, but I did have a brother, so I could watch my mother with him. However, that doesn't make that healthy. So I had to adjust to what I knew and then get to what works. It doesn't necessarily have to feel good, but it needs to work. And that's what I'm working on now is being okay with me, loving me, knowing who I am, loving me, and then I feel that I'm in better position to extend myself to my son, to my neighbor, to my community. And that's what I found on this journey, that I found that is working. Right now, I'm at my son's place in Georgia. I came to visit with him, and he is who he is, and I say I love him because I'm his mother. However, the person that he is, I'm not necessarily very comfortable with, but I do love him. I love him. He came through me without any question about that. And so, because I know who I am as a human being on the planet, then love is where I come from. That's the energy I come from. So then acceptance has to be a part of that as well. However, I don't take any shorts. If the people out there know what that means, that's a
I was
street
just about to
play.
ask you,
What?
because it can mean different things in different
All
ways.
right.
So
Well, then I'm gonna leave that. I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm gonna leave
okay,
that
we can
alone.
leave that one.
I'll leave that.
I do have a question for you though. Um, you said you're not as comfortable um, with the man that you see, or comfortable with certain things. As a parent, there's a lot of parents on this call, um, on Zoom and on Facebook. My question to you is, how do you specifically deal with knowing that there's certain things about your biological child, your biological son, that you aren't satisfied with? Do you approach them with a conversation? Do you idly deal with them and sort of let them go on and feel this internal conflict quietly? How do you deal with it? And then how do you suggest or recommend others deal with it?
Yeah, I'm at. It's not a conflict inside anymore. There's a strong level and degree of peace inside of me because I watched my journey. Right, I had to know who I am first, then love me and accept me, and then there was a process where I had to dismantle what I was conditioned to believe. And that took. I'm 60 years old, so that took some time, and I'm giving him that same understanding and space, right? So I find that the children don't share with us all the time their innermost emotions and feelings about how what we did or didn't do impact them, right?
Right.
Right. So to me, I'm just watching in the love that I say that I have for him, watching him navigate. Because if it works for him, he he doesn't call me and say, well, I'm unhappy about such and such. So if it's working for him, then like I said, I'm an observer. I'm an observer, and to me, my responsibility is to make sure this love that I have for him is not attached to him performing the way I think he should.
If
Because
you're an
that's how.
observer, I would assume maybe he's an observer. And so I would ask, do you feel like there are things that he possibly observed that influence the things that you may not like as much?
Yes.
And if your son was here on this call, hearing what you have to say, how do you think he would respond? What do you think he would have to say?
You are so tempting me to go to that room and knock on the door so he can hear. But I don't know. I would like to know. I don't.
And it's okay not to know. And the reason why the reason why I was asking that is because one of the barriers to mending relationships is also one of the tools to mending relationships. So I'm not sure how I phrase it, but essentially it revolves around a transactional style of empathetic communication, where I can, in my head, have a conversation where I can know you well enough to know how this conversation is going to go.
Yes.
Right. To where I said, you know what, if I said this to my son, or if I said this to this person, I can know how the conversation will go.
Yes.
And so I wanted to see how connected you and your son is in this particular space, in this conversation that may not be comfortable, right? To get an understanding of how conflict is dealt with, or how potentially uncomfortable conversations are dealt with.
Right.
In your household, in your space, and in this relationship.
Right.
So understanding that communication from an empathy perspective is one of the barriers of many relationships, because if you can't connect or understand how someone may feel, or what their response is, whether if you don't like their response, you have to be okay with their response. But if that is not there, that may be a barrier. On the other end, if you are able to be so empathetic and compassionate with a person to where you can understand their perspective, whether you don't like it or whether you love it, I think that's a very different level of trying to solve conflict.
Xavier, I'm just checking to see if Brian is available. Is that okay?
Can you say that one more time?
I said I was just checking to see if Brian was available. You're not.
Okay.
What is this? It's 8:00. It's 8:00, Brian. So we're supposed to go to the gym. I'm going to the gym with him, and so I knocked on his door. It's
mother-son gym day. I love it.
No, right. So we went yesterday, and I committed to going today. So I got on the call because I saw what the topic was. So I hear you, brother, and let me respond a little bit to that. So what I'm learning for me is that as I'm evolving, then I respond differently as I am evolving, because I was raised in a tumultuous household. Everybody's yelling and cursing. And so I gravitate to people who have a soft voice and who are calm because of that. And so I like that. And I would like to be that. That's why my name is Sweetness now. So as I'm evolving, then people really can't necessarily predict what I'm going to say, how I'm going to respond. So my son is a little bit of like a jokester. He'll answer a question, maybe with a question. It'll take, more minutes than it needs to answer.
He learned that from someone. I mean, he sounds like he's observant. So he had to learn that from somebody.
He's more than observant. He's very intelligent and smart. He's gifted that way. So that's why I said, so I mean, I could throw out something that he had said, in response to something from before, but we are connected in that way. And he will also admit that there's a disconnect in our communication, because he'll say, see, that's why we can't have does he say we can't have a good conversation, or that's why I don't talk to you about everything or something like that. So we both know that there is a distance that neither one of us would like to be there. So I know that I'm working on it by working on me, because I have to see, I see me through my own eyes, but then what do I look like through his? And I asked him that a couple of weeks ago, and he didn't answer.
Well, the hope is that he may not have answered now, he may not have answered yesterday, but one day he will.
Yeah, because I asked him what, how does he see me as a mother? What kind of mother do you see me as? And so I'm open. I'm not one of those that's scared to say, you this, you that, you need to work on that. I'm good with that. I could do that. That's why I show up on Woo, because there's work to do, and I want to do the work, because I don't know what my responsibility to the rest of the universe is going to be, but I know I need to be whole to respond to it, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, so thank you for letting me share that, and thank you for your question.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. So thank you for even everything you were saying in the chat that led us up to this moment. So I definitely appreciate your engagement and your vulnerability. So thank you. I do want to honor. So let's see. I know some people are checking out. So Gina, I have to log off. Gina, thank you for coming. You have a wonderful day. I want to close out the current slide that we were on. So I know we have, I think, about 20 minutes or so remaining. I want to close out this slide that I was on, and then bring in a couple more voices before we close out. And if you are in the Facebook chat, again, keep sending your comments, because we're going to get into those before we close out as well. And I want to make sure we bring in the voices from Facebook and the many comments we have on Zoom already. Some of this has been, some of this has come out in the dialogue that that just happened. So I just want to review them to stem while we're still in this space. So going back to the barriers to mending relationships. We left off at self-forgiveness. One of the other barriers stemming from self is being set in your ways. So we all have set ways. And if you're looking at the presentation, you'll notice that set ways is on self and it's on others. So set ways are things that can be a big hindrance in mending a relationship. So for example, if you feel like I'm never going to reach out to someone that doesn't reach out to me, that could hinder certain relationship from flourishing. You may not know how that will hinder you until later on. So understanding yourself, loving yourself enough, knowing enough about yourself to know when it's okay to be set in your ways as a boundary, and knowing when it's okay to say, you know what, I need to expand myself a little bit here. This is not the time to be set in this way. So understand that that set ways are something that can be a barrier is important. The final two things to barriers that are hindrances stemming from self. Number one is triggers, which we've talked about. Knowing what your triggers are and understanding how other people trigger them. If you grew up in a household where there's a lot of yelling and being talked over, you may grow up and realize, you know what, I don't like really being interrupted. That triggers me. If you don't know why that triggers you, you will get into arguments and conversation, and people can displace your response, not understanding that you're not being rude. There's a reason for this. So understanding your triggers is something that can be a benefit in mending relationships. And then finally, from self, is understanding your why. So when Kaisha got on and she was talking about her friend and her reaching out and making that phone call, one of the main things I wanted to know was, why did you reach out? What was it that made you reach out? Because understanding your why is going to give you information on how to deal with the afterwards. So if your why behind making a phone call is, I just want to see if they're answered. If they don't answer, you're not really going to care much about reaching back up or following back up. If your why behind doing something is, you know what, I really want this to flourish, I want to make this work. Sometimes you will go through hell and high water to make something work if your why is big enough. You will go through hell and high water to make sure that a relationship works if your why is big enough. So if you don't understand your why, first and foremost, you will surely handicap yourself from manifesting a powerful relationship that might have been broken, whether it's family, whether it's a colleague, whether it's a loved one, a lover, a potential lover. You never know. Going to the other side, now we're getting into barriers to mending the relationships, but these are things that you can't control from other people. You can't control someone's ability or access to forgive you, number one. Number two is patience. You cannot control the pace at which someone else is willing to walk back into a relationship or step back into a relationship. Three, set ways. Just like we have set ways, other people may have set ways. And if we don't know what they are and we don't communicate those in some verbal or nonverbal way, we can really damage and hinder our ability to truly connect. And then finally are the social pressures of 2021. The way that technology works and is set up it's become so difficult for the average person to deal with conflict because we're so used to dealing with it through text message or through email. Or not as often do we deal with things on the phone or in person. So understanding everything that impacts you mending a relationship is important if and only if whatever relationship in question, whatever person that you had in your mind initially, what we're talking about is only important if we're talking about a relationship that matters. Because if we're not talking about a relationship that matters, everything that we just talked about, the past 60 minutes plus, would have been a waste of time. This is only applicable if and when you are serious about mending relationships. And I'm talking to myself as I say that as well. So I'm going to pause there. And I want to bring in some conversation from some of the comments on Facebook and or the Zoom chat. I'm looking at what Jacqueline said. She said those what ifs and the assumptions about how a conversation will go is a huge hindrance to communication. Being aware of perspectives and how that perspective has formed is helpful in being able to really listen to someone and to hear them. Jacqueline, could you, I think I saw,
I'm here.
Okay, I want to have Jacqueline just speak really quickly more to what you just typed in the chat, because I do believe it's powerful, and I wanted your voice to be in the space as well. So if you have a moment.
Yes, I'm here. I'm not going to start my video because I look a hot mess, but good morning. Yeah, the what ifs. When you come to these conversations with people, can you hear me? You can't hear me.
I hear
Can
you. We hear you. We hear you.
Okay, went off for a sec. When I talk about the assumptions, we come to relationships, we come to conversations sometimes, and we think we know what the person is going to respond, and sometimes we rehearse it in our mind before we even get there, so we kind of set up the response when we do that. It's very difficult not to, especially when you know the person and if you've had past conflicts and you know how conversations have gone. So it becomes important to understand what their perspective is and to try to really listen. And I'm finding lately that I've been in situations where I realize that I'm not really being heard, or the person is unable to hear me for whatever reason, for whatever assumptions they are bringing to the conversation about me or about where the conversation is going to go, or maybe from something that some experience they had in the past. Whatever it is, I'm also learning my own, assumptions that I bring to a situation. So that is something that we all need to work on. I don't think anybody has mastered that yet. Not that I've met in this whole entire lifetime of mine of people being able to master that, because you have your experience and you have your those things that you've gone through that you can't just dismiss every time you have a conversation with somebody. But I know one of my triggers is not being heard. It's not being understood. And or people assuming that they know what I'm going to say or know what I'm going to do. I don't like that at all. So I find that that's one of the hindrances in my personal relationships with people, particularly my husband sometimes, because we both make assumptions about each other because of the experiences we've had with each other. And so when you want to pivot and turn away from that, it's very uncomfortable. But in therapy, there's this thing called the 4 Horsemen, and I don't know if it's up on here. I was trying to type it in the chat. And it talks about criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. And sometimes, you speak to somebody and you ask them a question and they don't answer you. And maybe they may never answer you. I don't know. But sometimes that is a hindrance to really having true communication. And if they hear it as criticism, then the defensiveness comes up. So this is just one of those crazy things that happens in relationships sometimes. And I'm finding that I'm trying to break out of that now and trying to have these authentic conversations with people. And there's still the defensiveness and stuff like that. But it is about patience. It is about understanding, because at some point you were doing that same thing. And so now I try to give folks grace, like I try to give myself grace. And just allow the conversation to evolve as it's going to evolve, and then, sit back and reflect on it later on, and maybe have another go at it, depending on how important that relationship is to me. If it's not really important to me, I'm dismissing it, and I'm dismissing the person. That's one of my set ways that I might want to revisit, and I'm complete.
Thank you for that. One thing I wanted to drive home that you said, and it just kept popping up. You can have no degree at all, no schooling experience at all, but I firmly believe that we are all masters. We all have a master's in our own experiences, right? So there's certain things that, regardless of what you think you know about me living in this body for however long, whether I know it or not, I've mastered certain things about this experience. And so it sounds like for you, you understand what you've mastered. You understand your triggers. You understand your boundaries. You understand your limits. You understand what works, and you're figuring out what doesn't work. And you're doing the work that it takes to make sure that the things you do want to work are working. And that says a lot, because it takes a lot to be able to identify your own triggers, to be aware of those things, and then to apply it to the people that you love. That's work that starts internally, and those around you are experiencing the benefits. The second thing that I want, the second thing that I wanted to bring up before I hear from Mama Mal, it speaks to the question that Catherine answered. And I wrote this as a note and saw Catherine's question. I don't know what's going on with she and I today, but it's like we're on the same wavelength, So Catherine, thank you for your question. Her question is it more important to be understood or to understand? And I wrote this down when I was just listening, and I wanted to give an example of my thoughts on it. When I was a kid, I used to hate blowing my nose. I'm not sure if I shared this before, but I used to hate blowing my nose. My mom, she would always get mad to me, blow your damn nose, blow your damn nose. I would just, I just didn't like to blow my nose. And we went to, I have 2 other brothers, 1 younger sister. I mean, we were toddlers at the time, or around that age. And my sister, someone had to go to the hospital. And so I was in the hospital sitting in my mom's lap, and I wasn't feeling well. And I kept sneezing or something, but I didn't want to blow my nose. My mom kept saying, blow your damn nose, blow your damn nose. This woman who was next to her, this older woman, I never met her. She didn't know me at all. She leaned over, and I'll never forget her saying, She said, you have to blow your nose to get, that's how you get the sickness out, baby. Until this day, I blow my nose because all she did, she just gave me the why behind why I should blow my nose. And it made sense. So understanding, real, true understanding is important. Another example, this is a little different, but one thing about my mom, when you're a single mom raising 3 boys and 1 girl, there's a certain level of toughness that you, I'll just use the word toughness. That's putting it nicely. Everything came with a lesson. Everything came with a lesson. No matter what it was, everything came with a lesson. So I remember one time the house was clean. Everything was just perfect after school before my mom came home from work. So we thought we were just good to go outside. When my mom came in the house, I was finishing up some laundry, and what I was doing, I was sitting on a milk crate, and I was sorting the socks. Mind you, everything is clean. We're good. As soon as she comes, we can go outside. She takes this opportunity, as only she would. She comes in and she tells me something to the effect of, why are you sitting down sorting those socks? Son, you will never be able to get anything done in life sitting down. And in my head, I'm like, it's just socks. Like, why you mad? It's just socks. But as I got older, certain moments would happen in my life where I would just hear, you can't get this done sitting down. Certain things you can't finish properly sitting down. So I wanted to drop home those 2 points because there's something about understanding that transcends nearly everything that we're talking about. Because if you can somehow find the cheat code to gain a certain level of understanding with everybody in your life, I mean, call yourself God. Because understanding to me is the core and root of a lot of what we're talking about. So Mama Ma, I wanted to give you the space, and then I wanted to have Ms. Kenyofu come and share something as well.
Okay, so that was a very interesting point. I believe that it's best to understand rather than being understood. And inside of the understanding, you get to see what it is for you that will elevate you and send you to a higher vibration. Because if you're trying to be understood, then you're trying to put what you're thinking onto someone else. So anyway, but that's not why I chimed in. I really, the statement that you made sort of nagged at me a little bit when you were giving and let me say, I understand that I came in late, so I wasn't sure exactly to what context you made that statement, but you said that if the relationship does not matter to you, then the points that you were making is not important. And so I didn't quite understand exactly what you meant with that, because if it's something that you got your eye on inside of using those points about not being set in your ways and being forgiving of yourself, et cetera, if those points came up with inside of a relationship with someone, then it is important to you because it came up. Okay, so I didn't understand what you meant by that. That's all.
Gotcha. So I can give you the context. Thank you for that. So the context was essentially at the beginning of this, I had people write or have a name in mind of someone, a relationship that they wanted to fix. And so my point is, if we're talking about a relationship in your life that you don't care to fix or that you really have no desire to really mend, then everything that we're talking about really wouldn't apply to this person, because the start of all this is the effort and the willful desire to fix or to mend a relationship. So that was essentially the context, to where it starts with at least a desire to fix or mend a relationship. Thank you for that. And Kenyofu. So I will just preface this really quick before Kenyofu comes on. So, and I believe she's actually talked about this before on here in one of my sessions, but oftentimes with parenting is very difficult. much easier, like many things, to be critical and to find the things that may not work and do everything you can to fix it. But there are also things that do work. And there are many people on this Zoom call and on the Facebook space that know about tools and tips that works for parenting, tools and tips that work for relationships and understanding. I'm not the communication guru here. And so what I was sharing, what I was asking Kinyofu was to share what works for her with their sons, because I know that one of the things that she was sharing was the positive relationship from a communication perspective that they have. And so I was asking her, what is it that works? And so Kinyofu, if you could share. And I hope that was a clear intro to what you have to say.
I think so. So I have one son and one daughter, and I think we have a good relationship, both of us, each of them. And with my son, there's total. I have pride for him. I see the goodness in him. I see his heart, and like, I can't really speak about one child without speaking about both children. That's kind of how I did things. It's like they were so close together. They were they, right? So my children are they. And so I feel funny separating them. But I understand there's a dynamic between the mother and the son versus a mother and a daughter. And when he's my first child. So when I was carrying him, I didn't know he was a boy. But I was saying, if I have a boy, I want to be sure that this is a good relationship, that I raise him to be a man and responsible in the world, but also connected to the world and wanting to make a difference. So I also knew that I needed to clear whatever baggage that I had in reference to men. And one of the things I did while pregnant was to go to my father, visit with him, talk to him, ask him questions, be with him, tell him what my concerns were, issues were as a child. And we cleared that relationship. And that was good, because now I knew doing that, I wouldn't be going into my parenting a boy or girl with the baggage that men or whatever it was that I was raised with. So with my son, as he got older, I just kept like not being heavy-handed. So it was very helpful. I need to say this was very helpful that his father was in the house for 12 years of his life, and then very close to him beyond that. And I always created a balance. So his father was heavy-handed, and I was like, you got this, I was the balance. And I trusted him and I did my best to give him what it is I could give him. I didn't hold back. I gave him what I was able to give him. And as I got older and got more stronger in myself, I was able to give him more. So listening was a big part of that, and not judging.
Yeah, I was gonna add that that you said the word not judging, because I think that's really important as well. Thank you for sharing that, and I'm sure that it's helpful to other parents in here. I'm not a parent yet, but I know hearing that it's helpful for me going into a space that I know I will be. So thank you for that. If we have, I would like to close. It is 8:30. Do I have time to close out the last slide?
Sure, we can take some time for that. Let me pull it up.
It's one more slide. I'll just run through it so you all can have the information. And if you are interested in, if you want me to send you a copy of the slide information, I'm happy to do that. But again, thank you all for having stayed this long on Zoom and on Facebook. Again, I'm just going to go over this last slide, and then we'll close out. So we've talked about some of the barriers to mending relationships, and indirectly, we've already talked about some of these tools. These are the tools used to mend wounded relationships. There are two kinds of tools. There are tools that you are given, and there are tools that you earn. So the tools that you're given are given by default, that are in, and one of them is time. Time is not something that we can control. It is something that can be a hindrance, but it is something that can be a tool. Time is something that can be a healing element. Some of us may experience sour relationships sort of healing after time has passed. The other thing that we're given as a tool is opportunity. So the fact that we woke up today, the fact that you are here alive today, that is proof that we have another opportunity to mend and heal whatever relationships that we desire. So by simply being here, by simply being alive, we have that opportunity. The third thing, attitude and effort. We talked about that already. Those are things that we are given because they are always in our control. The fourth thing, I believe innately at birth, we're all embedded with the capacity to love. And finally, one of the things that we're given, and part of this is through WOO, through Spirit of a Woman, through some of the activities and programs that are put on with this community, is we have access to communication tools, some that I myself have recently started using. And what I mean by that is understanding that one of the most difficult things to do when dealing with conflict sometimes is just knowing how to phrase or language something. So one of the things that I've been really using more of is discussing what I need to restore with someone. So if I need to restore integrity with someone, I can phrase it that way. If I need to restore forgiveness, if I need to restore ethics or something like though, that is a certain language that we have access to. So I would challenge those who are serious about this, as I am now in this space in my life, to connect with the WOO community, with Spirit of a Woman, with Shawnee, and others that have these resources available to us, as I'm learning more about them as well. And then on the other end of the tools, these are the things that we earn. Forgiveness to self, to and from others. Patience is something that we earn. Communication and restoring trust. These are the earned elements of the tools that are used, some of the tools that are used to heal some of the wounded relationships. So I know I kind of went through those quickly, but I just wanted to make sure that we have them before we sign off. So thank you, Nigel, for pulling this up. And we can go ahead and start closing out. Is there one who would like to have a final word? I will wait 10 seconds to see if there's one who would like to have a final word before we close out.
Do we know?
Sorry. Okay.
Okay.
Who's that?
I heard Sweetness. Go ahead, Sweetness.
Oh, I thought someone was talking. No,
That was me
do
too.
we know that all relationships are not forever? And that's what was in my heart when I was listening to when we was listening to the sister who was sharing about her relationship with her best friend or friend. But some relationships are not forever. And that's what I was alluding to when I said first dismantling the idea of what something should be. And then we're moving in that vein of trying to make it be something that is not even real. Some things are for a season and for a time. And we want to hold on to a relationship forever. That relationship was what it was when it was. And then sometime it's no more. That's a possibility as well. I think that it's my experience that we don't embrace. No, everything is not forever. Every relationship is not forever. People come into our lives for a season, a reason, and connecting that with I shared in the chat with the death of my father and my brother. I mean, my husband. they weren't to be here forever. So if I embrace that, then I can move forward with the healing. Yeah, and thank you, Kinyofu, for sharing what you shared about making amends with your father. I have to make amends with his spirit more, so that my sons and I can have a healthy relationship. It's so much to unpack, but first to me, I'm learning that you got to dismantle those things that we were taught that are not true. So that's what I wanted to share. I have a burning desire to share that and throw that in the community. And Xavier, I'm gonna need a private session because there's some work to be done. So I'll contact you. But thank you, community, for receiving and understanding.
Understood. Thank you for that final word. And just as obligated as you felt to share that, I have to give the biblical reference to exactly what you just said. It comes from Ecclesiastes 3, and I'll just read it. To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to get and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to rend and a time to sow, a time to keep silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. What profit hath he that worketh in that wherein he laboreth? So thank you for bringing that into this space. There is a time for everything. Just as you are here today in this moment, there's a time for that. Just as I am here delivering this, there's a time that this is the time that this is supposed to happen. So whatever it is that you all are going into for the rest of the day, understand that you are already walking into something that it was time for. Whether it's mending a relationship, whether it's sending that text after we get off, or whether it's saying, you know what, today is the day. Let today be that day for you. Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you all. So, Nigel, we can go ahead and start wrapping up.
Thank you, Xavier. That was what I needed to hear.
And I also want to say that there were a couple people that came off of mute in response to Xavier's offer, and Terry had her hand up. I would say for you to go to the Facebook page and continue that conversation.
Yes, and Kenyofu, if we could, let's drop the link to the Facebook page for people to share their reflections from today's session. Can you do that?
I can do that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And I will commit some time today to be in Facebook. Y'all know I'm not as social media friendly, but I will commit to being in there today, continuing this conversation.
Thank you. Thank you, Xavier. So if you want to share with the community the special offer.
Yeah. So the special offer for today will be 1 hour complimentary coaching session. And what I will ask of you to do is to pick one number between 1 and 20. So you're going to type in the chat, picking one number between 1 and 20. And then we'll select the winner that way. Go ahead and start typing the numbers. And admin team, if you see the number on in Zoom or on Facebook, let me know. It's like
We don't have the number yet.
It's like they're going around the number.
Come on, y'all, use your intuitive muscles.
I'll give it 10.
Oh, we got the number.
Terry?
Okay, Terry. I was like, they're going around
Yes.
the number. It was like 11 and then 12 and then 11. Then can we just stop at 13?
Terry, can you come off of mute and accept the special
Yeah.
offer?
Yes, I'm laughing because I was going to say something today and you all directed me to Facebook. And like Xavier, I'm not real Facebook savvy. So when I won, I just had to laugh. I said, it must be meant for me to have my say.
Yes. Well,
It must be.
congratulations. Let's move forward. So Xavier, you can share how the people can be in contact with you.
Yes, you can contact me on Facebook at Xavier.Beckwith, Instagram at Mr. Coach Beckwith, and email at xbeckwith@gmail.com.
So Xavier, thank you for today. Thank you for sharing with us and for this conversation that is needed because it's just needed. I'm gonna leave it there. Community, we accept love offerings and donations in the spirit of reciprocity here at Wake Up Everybody. These are the handles for you to make donations, monetary donations to our facilitator today. There's Zelle, QuickPay, and Cash App. The handles are here on your screen and they're also dropped into the chat so that you can go there and make your donation. All amounts are appreciated and accepted. Today's code is 426. That is 426 days that we have been in session, and include XB for Xavier. And we thank in advance the donations that you're going to make. So next up tomorrow, our Sahu Speed will be with us, and she will be sharing on sharing. What parts of you do you share and what parts of you do you neglect? Sharing 101. So please join us tomorrow for our 30-minute session, which takes place on Mondays and Wednesdays. And we will be Zooming and streaming live in Facebook. Then on Tuesday, Robin D. Stone is returning, and she will be presenting on Rona Reset, Living and Loving Through the Loss. So if you have not been in attendance for either one of these facilitators, you are in for a treat, and we hope that you will join us. If you are a new member in the Facebook or Zoom space, if you would let us know in the chat, say I'm new, we welcome you and we invite you to come back and join us again. Please don't let today be the only time that you are with us. We are together Sunday through Thursdays, and we welcome you to join us. Our live workshops on Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday is 90 minutes long. And then on Monday and Wednesdays, it's 30 minutes long. All sessions start at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So set your alarm clocks and join us. You can also get alerts. So if you will text Woo Nation to the number 74121, you'll receive text alerts in the morning, just in case you forget. Gentle reminders that we are in session and you should join us. We still have Woo swag. So what you're seeing on the screen are items with our Woo logo. Please shop at bit.ly/Woo swag and order yourself some swag. And then finally, thank you for being with us today. We appreciate the energy, the feedback, and the comments from each and every one of you. And we want you to stay in touch. On your screen and in the chat are ways to stay in touch with us. There is a registration link. We are on Facebook, and you can email us. The email address is at the bottom of your screen, info.wakeupseries@gmail.com. We welcome your comments, your suggestions, and your love. So stay in touch with us. Be with us again. I am going to stop sharing my slides, and in our tradition of Woo, I'm going to invite you all to come off of mute and share with our brother Xavier your vocal expression of love and appreciation for his share this morning.
Thank you, beautiful Xavier. Really
Thank you,
appreciate it.
Xavier.
so much.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful week.
Much
Thank you, Blue Nation.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Xavier.
Xavier.
For the healing that
Xavier, for such a powerful session.
Thank you for
For
the
being
wisdom.
vulnerable with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Everybody
Thank you,
celebrating your
That
growth
male
here.
perspective.
Be rock,
Yeah.
Powerful.
healing,
Look at you.
loving,
Hey, Chantel. Yes, thank you. Thank
beautiful,
you.
beautiful.
Yes,
But
Thank you.
we have everything we need.
Yes.
Sing, girl, sing.
We
Yes.
have everything we need.
Yes.
We have everything we need.
Yes, Lord.
We have everything we need.
As long as we
Powerful.
have you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Love
you.
y'all.
Everybody
Love
have a
y'all.
great day
Peace and
and a
blessings.